If Joe Rogan says, okay, I came over here because YouTube was being, they were censoring me too much. The premise was that Spotify would be free and open. They wouldn't bother me and tell me what to say. Now it's becoming too constraining. Now it's too much of a headache. I'm going to walk and go do my own thing somewhere else. Sue me. You're playing with fire, Spotify. This is the disconnect between the woke companies who pull the strings and the woke people who work in your offices and the people who listen to Spotify. Okay, speaking of the pits, Spotify, this is a big controversy right now, and it shouldn't be a controversy at all. I'll give you my opinion on what I would like to see happen with Joe Rogan. But, Neil Young last week threatened, he said he was pulling his stuff from Spotify because of Joe Rogan's podcast. Joni Mitchell joined Neil Young, removing her music from Spotify, saying that they are irresponsible people on Spotify are spreading lies that are costing people their lives. And then Barry Manilow also followed suit, and Spotify's stock shot up 9,000%. So that was
them.
Wow.
Next up, Cher.
Oh,
It
no.
was a bit of an anchor.
Oh, jeez. I hope Gordon Lightfoot doesn't. Was he dead?
Funny.
Also, who owns... we're going to get into that. Never mind.
We're going to get
No, we get into that. That's what's interesting about Spotify and who owns a share of Warner Music and Spotify. But first, Joe Rogan responded to Spotify announcing. They announced that they're going to label, and this is just so silly now, label certain content to be sensitive that it might. What is their official label? Do we know what it is, what the Spotify label is? Can someone bring it up?
Warning. Yeah, we'll have to bring it up.
It's a warning because, God forbid, adults actually are able to watch somebody with whom they disagree, right? We need to now warn adults. Remember back when it was Tipper Gore and it was video games, they started self-regulating, saying E for everyone, and, okay, Duke Nukem, all right, we'll put a 17 plus on there. There are strippers and nukes, so okay. But right now we're talking about adults needing to be warned because they might hear a differing opinion. So Spotify said they were going to slap a warning label on these kinds of podcasts, and like Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan responded to this and discussing COVID-19 and the reaction.
I think there's a lot of people that have a distorted perception of what I do, maybe based on sound bites or based on headlines of articles that are disparaging. The podcast has been accused of spreading dangerous misinformation, specifically about 2 episodes, a little bit about some other ones, but specifically about 2. One with Dr. Peter McCullough and one with Dr. Robert Malone. I had them on, and because of that, those episodes in particular, those episodes were labeled as being dangerous. They had dangerous misinformation in them. The problem I have with the term misinformation, especially today, is that many of the things that we thought of as misinformation just a short while ago are now accepted as fact. Like, for instance, 8 months ago, if you said, if you get vaccinated, you can still catch COVID and you can still spread COVID, you would be removed from social media. They would ban you from certain platforms. Now, that's accepted as fact.
Well, that's just conjecture.
It means that instead of the vaccine being able, instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person to person, spreading and spreading, sickening some of them, but not all of them. And the ones that it doesn't sicken don't know they have it. And then they give it to even more people because they didn't recognize they were, right? Instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person, potentially mutating and becoming more virulent and drug resistant along the way, now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus. The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else. It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. That means the vaccines will get us to the end of this.
Now, I do want to take a minute to talk about something, that little boy was addressing. A couple of things here. When they say dangerous and misinformation, let's analyze this both. Dangerous and misinformation. Misinformation means that the information, generally speaking, is not only false, but knowingly false misinformation, right? Certainly that's how it's been labeled here over the last several years with COVID. Okay, now dangerous. Dangerous would imply what? That it causes damage to people. Now, let me give you one side that's been labeled misinformation and dangerous. And this is important. Just stay with me here really quickly. Joe Rogan and ourselves. So, for example, Peter McCullough, we had on the show. Okay, long before Joe Rogan, I think we were the first people to have him on. what did we say? We said people who want to get vaccinated should get vaccinated. People who are vulnerable, who are immunocompromised, it makes sense. People who are elderly, it makes sense. That being said, we don't know the efficacy of the vaccines yet. And it doesn't seem as though, for example, what we would say is, doesn't seem like it stops transmission entirely, but it seems like it lowers hospitalizations. Also, we don't know the long-term side effects. That's a fact. Okay, that's considered misinformation and dangerous. Who does that hurt? What they claim is it could hurt somebody because maybe somebody won't get vaccinated. Okay. Here's the thing. There's a difference between that, encouraging someone to be skeptical off the bat, and instilling, which is what Fauci, what you just saw Rachel Maddow do, what all of media did, all of mainstream media, all of the big tech companies, a false sense of confidence. They told you, you get vaccinated, you can't get sick. They told you, you get vaccinated, you can't spread it. So the vaccinated could go to Thanksgiving parties. The vaccinated could go out publicly. The point is, that was untrue, and that could actually spread the virus because people have a false sense of security. What's more damaging? Telling your son to avoid scenarios where he may be bullied, or telling your son, who you know will get his ass kicked, that he is invincible, so we should walk right up to that bully and tell him to stop, then he gets his ass kicked. The point is a false sense of security, which is what has been given to people, is far more dangerous and has harmed far more people than people like myself, Gerald, Dave, Joe Rogan, saying, you know what? We don't have all the info yet. What's more dangerous? Genuinely, I want you guys to comment. Do you guys see how dangerous that is, the false sense of security throughout all of this? The vaccines are coming. We're going to open back up. Yeah. The vaccines don't let you catch the virus. The vaccines don't let you spread the virus. The vaccines, what she just said, they stop the virus. No more variants. Well, that hasn't happened. So at a certain point, you have to look at it and say, all right, you've blamed all of this on the unvaccinated, but that's no longer the issue. Yeah. Could it be the vaccine?
I don't think that he even broke any of their rules. So it was announced yesterday that Spotify would have these warnings. I don't think they've gone into practice yet, but this is from Spotify's website, dangerous content. And they have COVID down here. Content that promotes dangerous, false, or dangerous, deceptive medical information that may cause offline harm or poses a direct threat to public health includes but may not be limited to, and I don't think he's broken any of these, asserting that AIDS, COVID-19, cancer, other serious life-threatening diseases are a hoax or not real, encouraging the consumption of bleach, and it'll cure various illnesses and diseases, promoting or suggesting that vaccines approved by local health authorities are designed to cause death, and encouraging people to purposely get infected with COVID-19 in order to build immunity to it. So it says it may not be limited to, so they're kind of hedging it there.
Yeah, of course, that's what they always do with YouTube. They say, or anything else that we think.
Right. So same playbook.
Are they going to pull my show, AIDS is fake, drink bleach?
Yes.
I would go with the different
You were
title.
banging on all cylinders.
Oh, man.
But it's so clear, just the politics of that, encouraging... the implication there is just like Donald Trump praised white supremacist Nazis. He never did. He never told anybody to drink bleach. And by the way, that's not even, you guys haven't even agreed upon the right lie, because some people are saying that he told you to inject bleach, and then some of the people say, oh, they're telling you to drink bleach. None of it is true. You know that it's a bunch of human resources people writing that up so that they can ban people with a point of view. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, but also the idea of putting a warning on this, just like the parental advisory warning but that they decided to put on CDs like Tipper Gore, that doesn't make kids not want to listen to it or watch it.
The other way around.
Exactly.
You look for the ones with the parental warning. Like, ooh, that
it was the
fun.
Greatest sales. I mean, nothing made.
I don't know if that's the case anymore, though.
When Carlin had the CD that came out, it was just his face over the parental advisory label.
Right.
No, I think it is the case.
I don't know if it's the case with today's generation. A lot of young kids like to virtue signal. And think about it. You have anti-fascists, for crying out loud, supporting mandates. You have Rage Against the Machine demanding that unvaccinated people be quarantined and locked down. I don't know if it's the same rebellion.
I put Rachel Maddow, please stay out of my bird feeder every morning, and she's there every morning.
Well, okay. She's a contrarian.
That big will eat so much bird feed.
I know.
I love the look on her face, by the way. It's not going to hop around and get to like other variants and become more virulent. And I'm like, oh gosh, like that just did not.
But now it would be considered misinformation if you say, hey, why are there more variants now when there are more people vaccinated than ever? Why are there some doctors and why are there some published papers saying, hey, you know what? If you have a vaccine that isn't, or mRNA injection that isn't entirely effective, that viruses mutate and learn to basically get through the holes in the defense mechanisms. I'm not saying that this is accurate. I'm saying that doctors are afraid to even discuss it now because that could be removed as misinformation today, even if we find out tomorrow that it's correct.
Yeah.
A question can't be misinformation.
Right.
I mean, it can if you're like Jesse Ventura, where it's like, I don't know, was George W. Bush behind Tower 7 with an Acme plunger and the Saudi prince? I'm just asking questions.
All right,
Well, that's
point
different.
taken.
Yes.
But
But I agree with your sentiment.
It's a leading question.
Well, here's something else that matters. Follow the money.
Lead the witness. I get it.
Follow the money. So Joni
Or follow your
Mitchell
nose.
and Neil Young's music, they're owned by Warner Music.
Yeah.
Okay. BlackRock holds a 1.39% stake in Warner Music. And of course, BlackRock, Elizabeth Warren deemed too big to fail. They also have a bunch of real estate holdings that are worth trillions of dollars. I don't know what the number is today. And they hold a lot of sway over it. There is no more powerful entity right now as far as business interests. When people talk about, corporate oligarchy, man, look at BlackRock. Look at Elizabeth Warren wanting them to be too big to fail. Look at their ownership here with Warner Brothers Music. Okay, shouldn't sound like a lot, 1.39. That's $74 million of Spotify. Now, if you don't remember, 2008.
Warner Music, yeah.
What did I say?
Said Spotify, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to get to that in a second.
Spotify in a minute, yeah.
Well, it does.
Freudian slip, foreshadowing.
It does explain why two people as high as Neil Young and Rogan can't find common ground all of a sudden.
Yeah. Remember they used to tell us people who get high, they never fight. It's always drunk people. It's like, they fight sometimes.
Yeah, really not Rogan, just Neil Young out of nowhere for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I wonder what oh, right, he's owned.
Yes.
Except when I saw him live, though, he sang an anti-Starbucks song, but this is totally acceptable.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. He wants Starbucks is not even a fraction of what BlackRock is.
Right.
Now I'm singing for the BlackRock Gold.
Starbucks is bad.
So 2008, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, that's an asshole name, he said that BlackRock would punish companies that aren't, quote, woke enough. He said to prosper over time, every company must not only deliver financial performance, that's what a company should do, but also show how it can make a positive contribution to society. And this, of course, was with a liberal woke angle. Just last week, BlackRock punished 53 companies for, quote, climate inaction.
Wow.
Climate inaction.
What does punished mean? I don't know that I want to find out.
Yeah, can we find out exactly what the punishment was? Probably some kind of fine or some stern talking to.
Did they do like an admonishment thing where they're like, admonish?
I love how the UN doesn't punish North Korea when they're launching rockets like the 4th of July. But if a company doesn't do a, use a tree, plant a tree bin, they're going to be punished by this powerful corporation.
Daddy BlackRock had them pick a switch from a tree.
Yeah. Well, they wrote a stern letter, Stephen.
Yes.
Signed by all people there.
Now, this is to go back to your point. Do you know who else BlackRock owns a huge share in Spotify?
Oh, what?
Spotify. They own 1.37 or about 611 million worth of stock in Spotify. Wow. Now, here's the thing. Think about that, because everyone talked about how Joe Rogan, all this money, and he's dangerous, right? This is everywhere on social media. Joe Rogan's dangerous because he has this money and he's unaccountable. Joe Rogan got, I think it was a $100 million deal with Spotify, but then he also got some stock options. So let's call it anywhere between 150 to 200 something million dollars, right?
Yeah.
That's still a drop in the bucket compared to $611 million from BlackRock, who also have a conflict of interest because they have ownership stakes in other music production companies. This is something that is very dangerous. Now, if I were Joe Rogan at this point, if they start slapping label, keep in mind, they asked Rogan, to remove 40-something episodes, which he did. Keep in mind that Spotify has had problems. Their employees threatened to walk out with Joe Rogan. And now they're issuing these warnings. It wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility and legally probably defensible if Joe Rogan said, all right, took his ball and walked. He's the most valuable on-air commodity to Spotify, certainly. And BlackRock thinks they have more sway because $611 million, right, in shares that they have in Spotify. But if Joe Rogan says, okay, I came over here because YouTube was being, they were censoring me too much. The premise was that Spotify would be free and open. They wouldn't bother me and tell me what to say. Now it's becoming too constraining. Now it's too much of a headache. I'm going to walk and go do my own thing somewhere else. Sue me. Guess what? Could be breach, and there might not be anything that Spotify can do about it because they have changed the terms. I don't know the exact contract, but I don't think, at least in the court of public opinion, Spotify would be in trouble. You're playing with fire, Spotify. This is the disconnect between the woke companies who pull the strings and the woke people who work in your offices and the people who listen to Spotify.
When they keep talking about all the money that he has, he's bringing in this money through his entertainment that he's getting a percentage of.
Right.
it's completely legitimate what he's earning.
Of course.
These people going at them is a completely different narrative and a completely different idea than what he's doing.
Yeah, well, Barry Manilow has earned Spotify a pretty penny, and by that I mean one pretty penny.
It was pretty shiny, though.
He framed it. Yeah.
It came right out of a loafer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the punishment, by the way, would have to do with affecting those companies' voting action in the fund, and BlackRock is worth $9.46 trillion.
$9.46
Is that
trillion.
assets under management, basically, for BlackRock? Wow.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Ass hats.
Well, the good news is Elizabeth Warren, right, the socialist folks, they're looking out for you because they want BlackRock to be too big to fail, which means they can continue acting like this. And when they bankrupt companies or when they have the next crash, you get to bail them out with your tax dollars because they're too big to fail. Looking out for you. Hey, by the way, as much as I hate them, this show is available on Spotify. So please subscribe on Spotify, on Apple, on Android, anywhere that you get your podcasts, because again, if you're not on Rumble, if you're not on Mug Club, you can listen to the audio version, and sometimes there are little Easter eggs.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.